Hey everybody, so we pulled this talking clip out of our 2024 eMTB Shootout Grand Finale. It was meant to be a little discussion that kind of derailed into a longer topic of what matters and doesn't matter to us on e-bikes, what we think the bike industry could improve as a whole in their offerings on e-bikes specifically, and we'd love to get your feedback and comments on what matters to you, what's not so important, and what things you would like to see improved. Of course, don't forget to go check out the eMTB Shootout series this year. Thank you guys very much for watching and enjoy the conversation. First up, quickly let's touch on drive units. I know we get tons of questions on people asking us what bike they should buy, this, that, the other. We'll give them suggestions. I'm very surprised how many people will write off a bike just because of a certain brand drive unit. And I understand people have bad experiences and maybe don't want to support a brand after a bad experience, etc. But if you guys had an ideal bike, right? Like say, pick whatever your bike is your favorite, what drive unit would you want to see on that bike? What's your favorite?
I like the Shimano drive unit, especially with the new updates. They were falling behind in the industry for sure, and they've done everything to remedy that, and it is a much better unit now. I like the integration, I like the display, I like the power delivery. It fits my cadence really well. It's the power unit I like.
Noise, rattle, that stuff is either not bad enough or isn't.
I've never noticed the noise. The only of the Shimano systems, they always seem, you know, you're riding an e-bike, which is fine, you're on an e-bike. I've never had an issue with it, and I think the dealer support network for Shimano is pretty solid. Like it's good.
All right, Robert, how about yourself?
It's a tough one. I think now you've got Shimano, Bosch, and I'd even say the SRAM drive unit too are all very even, have their kind of pros and cons, but all solid, and I'm not gonna opt for one of those drive units over another. I would never lead off my search with the drive unit out of those three.
Okay.
Then you have the Rocky, and I like the Rocky the most while it's working. I do have small concerns over either durability or like maintenance life. Yeah, it would be my choice. Probably. Okay. With the caveat that I probably would prepare myself for the worst happening and make sure I've got a robust support from a dealer.
Okay. Sean, for you?
I mean, the Rocky motor would be my pick when it is working.
Okay.
I have personally replaced a Rocky motor. It's not that hard. It's pretty intuitive. That said, Shimano or Bosch, it doesn't really make much of a difference to me.
Okay.
I do like Shimano's more natural feeling.
Yeah.
And then the Bosch's power is pretty awesome too. So it's just
Okay.
whatever a company puts on a bike, I'd be fine with.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. For me, I think kind of how I've explained it is if I was racing, I would pick Bosch because I do think they are faster and they will give you kind of more top end speed, like getting closer to that 20-mile-an-hour mark. And
Even still with the EP801?
we're talking fractions, you know what I mean? Like, I do think that maybe there are certain areas where it's easier to have the Bosch running fast than the 801. And it's not always, because there are certain pitches where, you know, we're slingshotting or rubber banding on the way, right? Like me and Nick or me and Sean, right, who's even, you know, lighter than I am, we're pretty close in weight. You know, there'd be like parts where the hill would go up and one motor would go like this, and then as soon as we would get to a different gradient, all of a sudden this bike would catch up, right? And then it'd pitch again, and you're just doing this thing. So I think every drive unit has a little different feel. So I think for me, probably racing, I'd pick Bosch, but I prefer the delivery of power, the traction I get, the assistance profile for technical climbing of the Shimano better. And so like if I was gonna probably just pick a bike and wasn't racing it, I think 801 would probably be the ticket for me.
I do think Shimano has their algorithm dialed for how it delivers its power.
Yeah, it just feels like I'm doing more work, as silly as it sounds, but like it's just not quite an artificial surge or push. And I know dropping, you know, the Bosch out of their turbo boost mode gives a very different feel, but that's also where I spend most of my time riding, and I think that's where a lot of e-bikers probably do. But I guess circling and winding this topic down, it sounds like to you guys, what drive unit is in a bike is not the top part of what's gonna make you pick an e-bike.
Not at
No,
all.
definitely not.
Downhill performance.
My
is
favorite
more-
bike is not my favorite motor system. And I'd buy that bike.
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm the same way. I think a drive unit is a drive unit and it'll get you up. Obviously, I don't want it to be in the shop every other week, but you know, I think if it gets me up the hill with assistance, I'm happy enough. I would rather have a bike that performs better as a bike
Same.
than an electronic side.
And thankfully, I think it's safe to say that we've got 14 bikes that have mostly done exactly that. I don't know about you guys, but I have been incredibly impressed by the boost in standard overall,
Yes.
especially compared to, maybe not last year. Last year was solid too, but the year before that and
It's a big change from
prior
3
to
years
that,
ago.
like things have come a long way. And
No broken chains.
no broken chains.
Rims have held up.
Yeah, very little battery, motor issues as well. Yeah, bikes are riding really good, and I think I'd quite happily take almost all of these bikes home with me and ride them and enjoy them. So
Yeah, I think it's really awesome to see how fast e-bikes have evolved, and I think, you know, they're just a few years behind mountain bikes, right? I mean, we had a period where mountain bikes things were failing, things weren't holding up, they weren't doing what the level of riders were expecting them and pushing them to do. And I think e-bikes have quickly got to that spot, and I'm very excited to see the further split as some brands will offer, I don't know, safari e-bikes, right? Backcountry adventure e-bikes with 900 watt-hour batteries, and this new kind of subdivision of half and half bikes, like full power but small batteries with range extenders. Like, I think that's a category that I'm very excited about. Again, we would love to hear for you guys, and that's kind of why we're making this already long video longer. Do you guys prioritize range? Do you want the biggest battery possible? Would you rather have a lighter e-bike that you've got a small battery on and for the after work rides, and then the big weekend epics you throw a 250 extender on? Does drive unit really matter to you, or do you want a better bike? Let us know, because like it'll really help us as we talk with brands, try to help share our opinions, and you know, maybe shape stuff for consumer thought as well as brand and industry influence.
absolutely. Speaking of that, where do we think bikes can still be improved? What problems have we faced that we think still need work on? I mean, to lead off straight away, battery mounting
Yes.
systems, I think, are still not anywhere near to what they should be. And then range extenders, I don't think have been properly thought about in how they mount to the bike either so far.
I would agree. That's an area that I would love to see improved. And another topic, right? Again, please guys, comment. Is removable battery a must-have for you, or would you rather have a lighter, stiffer, quieter bike? Prime example for me is the Ari. I think they do a really good job with their mounting system and their track internally. Like, that thing is in there securely. Yeah. And I would say even if a bike does have a removable battery, I don't know, maybe it's because I don't remove batteries all that much, but I would rather have a quieter, stiffer, silent setup that maybe I got to get an Allen wrench out to pull that battery out of, rather than a quick button release that rattles and makes noise and isn't as secure. You guys feel the same, or
Yeah,
I mean, is
I
removable
don't
battery?
understand. You know, if you look at the Canyon as a prime example, you've got to ideally turn the bike upside down, undo a plastic cover with an Allen key bolt under there, pull off that cover, and then underneath there, it's a pull tab quick release battery that slides out. If you've got a 5mm Allen key in your hand already, why not
just
make
make it
that
screw?
how it
Yeah.
bolts in and securely bolts into the bike, instead of this plastic tab system that, I mean, is ultimately going to fail at some point, I'd imagine.
Sure.
I know Bosch has worked on a slightly improved system for that, and we didn't have any issues with the Canyon this time around compared to my long-term test, but even still, use a couple of solid bolts in there, keep things held in place properly, stop the rattling.
I'd really like
Simple.
to see some more just industry standardization between the mounts. I mean, I know each frame is going to be a little bit different.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, bro. Can't even get hub standard.
I know.
Seat post standard. Get out of here.
Yeah,
Get out of here
you're
with your
right.
wishful thinking.
I mean, we all wish for great things, but
I
at
mean,
least
even if the motor manufacturer is,
just said, hey, here it is.
here's how you bolt a motor and a battery to the bike, and then everyone could choose the drive unit separately.
Yeah.
I don't know. That-
Big hopes.
Sean, anything for you? Standouts? Things you'd like to see improved?
I mean, integrations probably.
Okay.
I think things could be tidied up a little bit more. I'd like to see everything removed off the frame, so like frame buttons or things like that, unless it's a jumbotron. But
I feel like if it's all concentrated into one unit, then like buttons or not is fine. But
yeah, if it's like a refined looking piece, it'd be okay. Like Bosch's little LED hub is nice, it's tidy, but like you got the shiny silver button on like the pivot, which gets super sticky.
yeah, and then that's extra wiring that has to go another hole in the frame. Seems a bit stupid.
Something that is like small and maybe, I don't know, silly to complain about, but is also very frustrating to me is charge ports, especially Bosch. I hate plugging those
suck,
friggin'
dude.
bikes in, man.
Yeah.
Like, especially when we've got like 7 or 8 bikes and they're always down low, and so you can't see,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's in a van or in a shop or whatever, and it's like, nope. Like, just like, let's get like a white line on
Yeah.
the charger and the charge port door, or maybe like the Darfon charger, like have it so it's like got a shape
You have
that
to
you
put
can
it
just
in.
like, you can like
Kinda.
blindly look at it and get it to fit in there and
Honestly,
snap
it's
in
taken me
easy.
5 minutes sometimes to get.
Oh, it's
like,
terrible. I thought I've had
I
the
go
wrong charger.
for like a 720-degree revolution of like, no, not that way, and you just
Yeah.
keep on going, and then eventually you're like,
Yeah.
It's
of
kinda
course, it faces up on that bike, and then down on that bike, and backwards on that bike, and
Yes.
Kind of like
Goddamn.
putting a USB in a computer. You try it one way, it's not the.
Always wrong.
You flip it over a couple times and like, okay.
Yeah, so that's one. And then I think the final thing I would like, especially after spending all this time here, is like rear mud guard fender type protection.
And
Some
we're
bikes,
not talking about ones that come over the back of the rear tire.
No, I'm talking like down
Like
into the frame,
linkage
into
protection.
linkage, pivots, bearings. Like, there's some brands that have it and do it well. And then there's other bikes where just like there's so much stuff, and these brand new bikes have just gotten so ground down from rocky, sandy debris and mud getting in there. And I just feel like if we could just get something in there to protect those bikes from all that stuff coming up in there, that would be really big. That would be really big. I think with an e-bike, you're more prone to go out and ride in sloppy conditions because you've got that drive unit assisting you. And then we just can't approach how bikes from a paint, the clear coat thickness, like these bikes are just gonna get beat up more, and they just need to be more durable from a frame protection standpoint. And
Speaking of which, what about motor bash guards as well?
yes,
I think
also
that's something that could do a little bit of work.
I think
you know,
that-
they're getting better, 100%.
Like Pivot has really set the standard, I think, of motor protection and that battery dropout that they have. It's just an outstanding product, and I think they listen to feedback.
yeah, I think
But,
something.
do you think that like plastic covers are enough? For me, for our test, you know, every single one of these bikes pretty much has a little gouge out of the plastic cover.
Yeah.
That's been a few weeks tops of riding these bikes, you know, hard on challenging terrain to really try and accelerate how quickly we get to the bottom of the performance. But if we're taking gouges out of them within a week or two of riding, then what does that mean for a consumer 2-3 years down the line? I feel like that's just going to fall apart, and you're going to need to replace it, right?
Plastic, because I run a plastic bash guard on my moto that's lasted 3 years with no problems.
How's that mounted to the bike, though, and what's underneath?
Oh, it's hard mounted to the frame.
Right.
So I think that there's options out there, and I like this how plastic slides over rocks.
But yeah,
But-
we need.
But
we
they're
need
also
better.
5 times as thick as these.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do need to see an improvement there as well.
And, you know, you look at a lot of these and they've got a hard edge,
Yeah.
whether it be on the down tube of the frame or on those protectors.
Yeah.
Surely things need to be rounded out so that it slides properly.
Yeah.
Agree.